Gentlemen, it's really a pleasure to be in our midst this morning, and I can see some few known faces here. Dari, congrats on your new position. I was just getting to know about it here. And then my wife's cousin is also here, Tobiloba Ajay. All right, so my name is Kola Olugbodi, and I've lived with disability for, I had polio at age 2, and I turned 55 this year, so I've lived with it for 53 years. After I had polio, of course I was not totally aware, but as I was growing up, I discovered that I was different in the midst of my, then maybe I had 4 siblings at first then, and I discovered I was different. They all went to public school. I went to private school, Atundolu school then. It was private, it wasn't public then. I knew something was different about me, but it was not looking like anything big. And of course, I enjoyed a lot of pity party then. At home, I was secluded from a lot of the home chores. They would say, don't give Kola any job, he's SNU, you know, the way they will say. And then, of course, I enjoyed that that privilege, in quote, also when I got to school. I don't participate in a lot of the things they do. A lot of the things I was always exempted. But things changed when I was 8 years old, and we went to our village for Christmas. And one of those days when we were in the village, we went around town to see some uncles and aunties. And that particular day when we got to the market square of that village, we had this drumming coming from nowhere, and then we saw people running helter-skelter. And of course I left my family compound with some of my cousins, and I think 1 or 2 of my siblings, and 1 of my young uncles. And so when we got to the market square, and then everybody started running helter-skelter, and we asked, so what's the problem? And they said, a masquerade just came out, and it's not supposed to meet anybody on the road. And so everybody started running, and then I wanted to run. And then almost for the first time, it occurred to me that there are runnings and there are runnings. They were able to just take off like the rabbit, and I had to run like the tortoise. And it was more like trying to hop on my right leg that wasn't paralyzed, and the left leg is totally paralyzed. So, of course, hopping on the right leg, I'm going to fall around, stand up again, try to run. At the point I started screaming, I was crying, I was begging anybody around that could help to just please help me, support me, carry me, do something, and let me escape from this masquerade. But interestingly, that day nobody was going to stop. It was a matter of every man for himself, and God for us all. And I was very afraid. I was afraid of the masquerade. I was crying and everything, but help was not going to come from anywhere. And at a junction, it just occurred to me, you know, I was young, but some thoughts just started running through my mind, even though I was trying to escape. And I told myself, so this is the way life truly is. The moment when you think you need others to help you, they will desert you. And so that day I just told myself, I was very young, I said, I'm not going to depend on anybody for help again. And maybe after the whole thing, after I thought about it again, I told myself, I'm not going to depend on people again. If I'm going to make it or survive in this world, a lot of it depends on me. I discovered that day that if anything is going to happen in my life, my destiny is in my own hands. And so, people always say I don't finish that story. The masquerade didn't catch up with me that day. One of my uncle is just a year older than me. You know, when your grandpa is still having children and his sons are also having children. And so I had an uncle that is just a year older than me. After the masquerade took another turn, he ran back and he told me to hop on his back. Of course, when I jumped on his back, I started crying again. I cried because another reality dawned on me that people will only help you when they think it's convenient for them to help you, not when you think it's okay for you to be helped. You know, I discovered that day. So that incident actually changed my approach to life, the way I see life. From age 8, everything changed. And so from that day on, no more pity party, no more anybody telling me, no, you can't do some things. No, you are excused. I no more excuse myself. Even when you excuse me, I will say, I want to do it. And added to that, this can-do spirit just came from nowhere. Of course, I'm sharing all this because I want to encourage somebody here. People with disability are those that we always push into the back because we always feel, I hope somebody here understands those things. You have bad leg, you have impaired eyes, your ears are dumb and everything. No, don't trouble them. They can't be useful. That's what they are trying to say. Of course, I just picked up this can-do spirit. And from that moment on, don't dare tell me, Kola, you cannot do this thing. In fact, the fact that you told me that I cannot would make me attempt to do it to prove to you that I can. And then, of course, it included one day that my father was training my other siblings to drive. And of course, I have 8 siblings. 7 of them are guys. The last one is the only girl. And so when he was teaching the guys to drive, and then I came up also and said, that is my turn. And that day my father looked at me with pity and he said, Kola Wale, you won't be able to drive because of your disability. My car is a manual car, and you have only one leg. You won't be able to drive it. So in order for him to console me, he said, when you grow up, you'll be old enough to buy an automatic vehicle, and you'll be able to drive it with your one leg. You know, when he said that, most times, anytime you tell me I cannot do anything, I will just smile. I will smile because I'm just about to prove you wrong. So my father's car was the next thing to prove him wrong, and prove to myself that I can drive it with one leg. Of course, I tried different tactics to drive that car with one leg, 3 pedals. I was trying different styles, and of course, the car will move, and then since I can't exchange the gear, it's just going to end there. But I kept on working at it until I was able to actually drive that car with one leg, and adapting to use my left leg to press the paralyzed my left hand to press the paralyzed left leg on the clutch, and then I will use this part of my body to hold the steering while the other one is changing the gear. And That was how I started driving that car. Even though I almost died the first day I was going to put it on the road, then I drove that car. So what am I trying to tell us today? People with disability, please stop looking down on yourself. Stop waiting for a Calvary to come and help you. Your destiny is in your hand. If you're going to go far in life, a lot of these things depend on you. If you say you cannot, you know what? You won't be able to do it. And if they tell you cannot, then you tell yourself, though it's looking impossible, but I will try. You will discover that you can actually move beyond where people want you to stay. Your destiny is in your hand. This world I've discovered is not fair. It's not fair to those even that don't have disability. Talk less of we with disability. It will never be fair. So the only people that are going to keep making, moving forward in life and making the edges are people that are ready to fight their way through. So stop looking down on yourself. Stop telling yourself I cannot. Be ready to fight. Have that can-do spirit. Have that, courage. Put on determination. Are you listening to me? Aha. Everywhere I'd worked, I attempted to work. The first place I worked as a copper, when I walked in there, they needed coppers truly. I was one of the first coppers to resume there, and they saw this copper working with walking stick, and the job was 90% field work inside forest and bush and villages. So when I walked in, it was like they shook their head and said, if they were going to send animals with horn, should they send a snail? And so reluctantly they said, okay, at least if you can't walk around, you can sit in the office and attend to files. And so they were telling me, you can't do anything useful for us. I smiled also. I accepted the office job until the time they have challenges on the field. They had deadlines, they didn't have enough hands, and I said, would you allow me go to the field? They said, no, you can't. I said, please try me. And they tried me. Of course, on the long run, I ended up being the best field staff. I ended up being the first staff to be promoted during the 1991 census. Please, you must be ready to stretch. That is what I'm trying to tell you. When they give you this amount and say, no, just, you can't do more than this, prove to them by stretching beyond that. God has so much blessed every human being with a lot of ability to adapt. Are you listening to me? We can stretch. You can do far much more abundantly than what you think you can do. That's why you will note that when a disability happens, but especially people that it occurs to when they are much older, maybe they lose their arm in accidents, quickly you discover that their legs begin to play the role of the arm. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? We can stretch. We have so much abundance of ability in us. Somebody said that on the average, a lot of human beings would only use 10% of their potentials. 10% of the potentials that God has endowed them with before they die. So you must be ready to stretch. To the glory of God, I'm the CEO of Background Check International. Background Check International is actually the first background check in the sub-Saharan side of Africa. It's the first one in Nigeria. It's the first one in West Africa. And you see, the truth of it is that it was started by somebody in the disability constituency. It only proves that we can do much more than we can ever imagine. Of course, the story was not smooth. I tried a lot of businesses. and I was rising and I was falling. In many of them, I was in debt, but I told myself, I've not gotten to the end of it. I kept on trying and rising and falling, kept on trying and falling until I got to this. And then I was no more falling. And then I started rising and rising and rising. One thing you need to do, some of us will say, oh, but because I've tried one thing, but it has not worked. And then I've tried another, it has not worked. I'm not sure I can try any other thing again. You need to keep trying. You've only failed because you've not found the right thing you ought to do. But in the process of doing many things, you're going to find it if you don't give up. I hope somebody is listening to me. And so, please, with this, I want to encourage every one of us. And then for those that pitched for the business support, I congratulate every one of you for daring enough. I'm actually looking out to see all of you, not even most of you, at the top of every industry or profession that you have aspired to go into. You can do it. Don't settle for mediocrity. Don't settle for average. Don't just say, well, let's do the barest thing possible. Aim for the top. If you aim for it, you will get there. Are you listening to me? All right. So with this, I welcome every one of us once again. I want to congratulate Project Enable for this laudable event, and even for, I know that a lot of screening and shortlisting have been going on for quite a while. Well done, and the Lord will continue to be your strength. Access Bank is a sponsor for this event and a lot of the things that Project Enable has been doing. Thank you so much, Access Bank. You continue to have access to greater things and forward motion by God's grace. So I know this event is going to be great, and let's all just have a great time together here. Thank you all once again, and God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, can we appreciate Kola Olugbodi?